I'm really digging how the double and triple stemming technique I showed you in my last pruning video is working out. With this technique, we have a happy medium worked out, and if it doesn't turn out like that, we'll take some of these off and leave the bigger ones to ripen. This is the point now where we gotta start thinking about our new fruits coming in and what kind of problems we could face if we do not do this right. One problem would be lack of pollination, where your flowers fall off and they don't form tomatoes. I showed you a hand pollination technique and it has worked out very well for me. I've not had too many flowers actually fall off the plant, and I have many tomatoes building up off these stems. Then you come to situations like this, where one of your bigger tomatoes, while still green, splits at the bottom. Don't worry about this. This may not be your fault. It could be, depending on your watering technique. But when you have drought conditions, like we've had here in Michigan, and then you have torrential downpours, even though you haven't been watering your plants too much, that's too much water at once. Focuses its way into these newly forming fruits, and that's where you get these splits from. That's gonna happen. So we just take these and get them out of there. If you do overwater your tomatoes and you have newly forming fruits, you will get cracks like this if you give them too much water, because all the water is going to these guys. So make sure you pay attention when you're watering your plants. I know everyone says that tomatoes need a ton of water, but the problem is you could still have root rot with your tomatoes if you give them too much water. So always do the finger test, dig it down. Even with the torrential downpour, it's starting to get a little dry down there. And it's been hot today. So I'm gonna give them a little bit of water, but not too much. When I give them a little bit of water, I'm also going to do something else that is forward thinking to make sure we don't have any more issues with these tomatoes. For the most part, these guys are coming in pretty good. This one has a little blemish down there. That's nothing to worry about. All these ones look good. Heavy rain took away a couple of my new tomatoes, but a lot of these guys are doing pretty good. I mean, look at the cool shape on these giant crimsons. Can't wait to see them when they fully ripen. They're gonna look pretty cool. Let's go take a look at some recycled materials I got, and I'm gonna show you one of my favorite ways to boost your tomato plants. So what I have here is a gallon jug that I put about 4 banana peels in or so. It's been sitting for 4 days. The banana peels are starting to fill up this jug real nice. This is a banana peel tea, where all these nutrients from these banana peels, especially that potassium that we're looking for, is filling this water. Next to it, I have some crushed eggshells that I dried out, and I just used my fingers. Took a while, but I crunched them down to this size. You know they're good when you start seeing a powder coming off of them, because we want these to absorb into the soil. So I'm going to show you what we're going to do with these. We're planning ahead of an issue that plagues a lot of people called blossom end rot, where you have your tomatoes forming, they start getting nice and ripe, and then all of a sudden they start splitting. We want to take some preemptive action to stop that from happening, and usually that splitting is caused by watering the incorrect way, but another reason is calcium deficiency. These eggshells are loaded with calcium. So we want to mix these into the soil, so when we water, it goes down and the plant can absorb it. So what I've done is just clear away a little bit of this soil, mix it up around the base here. Take some of these and just kind of sprinkle it around the plant. You don't have to go crazy with it. Make use of what you got. And we end up with something like this. Gonna do the same thing on all these plants. Don't dig down too deep and start disturbing the roots. You could leave this on the top if you wanted to, because the water is the way that's going to get this down into the soil. We're just helping it out a little bit. At this point, your roots are extended further out, so don't be afraid to mix a little further out too. And then when you're done, I like to just Brush a little soil on top of these eggshells so they don't blow away, and so they start composting into the dirt a lot faster. Got our eggshells down there, so now it's time to move on to the next step. Works well with your plants in the buckets too. It's a little bit easier to mix it in with this potting soil since it's a lot lighter than your garden soil. Since the finger test said we only need a little bit of water added, that's what you can do. Whatever you use to water your plants, I use well water because that's what I have. I don't have to deal with anything in actual tap water. The well water's worked fine. Not as good as rainwater, obviously, but it holds me over till the storms come in. So for this part, you can use regular water. But I'm going to use my favorite thing to give my plants when I have it available, this banana water with the banana peels that have been sitting in water for a few days. I always mix this 50-50. I have given it straight to the plants just like this, but I like to make it last more since I'm only working with 1 gallon because I don't eat enough bananas to make a ton of this stuff. So I start out by putting about a ½ gallon or so into this container. Pretty much going off the container. Does not have to be a perfect mix. And then I follow it up by adding a ½ gallon out of this jug. All right, we're working with a 50-50 mix of water to the banana water. So let's go hit these plants. This is a nutrient booster versus straight watering your plants. So we're not going to go nuts giving them this. We'll follow up with regular water when we're done with this. But I'm just going to take it not too close to the base, just on the outside because those roots are reaching out at this point. Just give it a nice soak and watch it sink down into the soil. Usually follow it up with one more little blast and then move on to the next plant. This water is helping get some of this eggshell residue down into the soil so the plants can start taking it in. And with the banana water in here, it also adds some extra calcium as well as potassium. This banana water works good for pretty much everything. I put it on tomatoes, peppers, zucchinis, moonflowers. They all love it. If I had more banana peels, I'd do this once a week because the results are obvious with this. The plants absolutely love it. The eggshells take a long time to break down, so they should carry you to the end of the year. If you start noticing your tomatoes splitting, take a look at your watering technique on your plants. Don't water them if they don't need to water. And if you think your watering is good, then focus on adding more calcium to your plants with the eggshells and banana water. With this 1 round of banana peels, I should be able to get about 3 gallons of banana water out of it. Once I go through this, I'll refill it, let it sit a few more days, use it again, then do it one more time. If you get too far along and you notice your bananas are starting to get real mushy and it's starting to smell like it's really fermenting in there, I would not use it anymore. It might cause more harm than good. I have tested the old fermented banana water on my daturas and they did not seem to mind, but I don't know how the vegetables would react to it, and I really don't want to find out. Maybe one of you have used heavily fermented banana water and had great results. Let me know in the comments and maybe I'll start doing it. We can all learn something from one another. This is a quick tip that should help your tomatoes out. Just keep up with pruning off all them suckers as they pop up. Keep an eye out on them new fruits to see if they're splitting or not. Make sure they grow big and healthy. If they start ripening and splitting, get that calcium into the soil. Supplement them with banana water if you got banana peels laying around. They're free because you're eating the bananas anyway, and they work amazing for your plants. Try putting them on peppers, pretty much everything you got. They all love the banana water.